Mr. Harry Daniel 7994 asked on the last video if I could showcase loading, so let's break out this Shipshy power cord here for the trailer and show y'all how it's done. So what you see me setting up right here is the center rail, drop rail, or jump rail, or extension rail. It goes by many names, but that is what allows us to actually get the campers from the ground up onto the center rail of the trailer. Get the ramps pulled out here next, and start prepping the trailer after that and getting the winch ready to go. If you haven't already caught on, this has been sped up a pretty good bit here. My winch is not very fast, none of them are, and I did not want to bore y'all to death. Next step is to dig through my admittedly messy toolbox, grab my axle strap, and my loading wheel so we can get this trailer up. These trailers happen to have an electric jack on the front, so what I need to do is pull out the positive and the negative terminals so I can hook my jump pack up to it. There is a way that you can manually crank the jack stand, but why bother? I got this really nice expensive NOCO jump box that I use to power all my trailers for loading and unloading, and it works really well. For those not familiar, a cool feature with the NOCO, as you see there, is I can hold that button and turn this into essentially its own battery, and it sends full power out. Now with these electric jack trailers, they tend to have that little power cutoff switch, so we'll flip that on, and up we go. So you're going to see me move the trailer tongue back and forth here, and as you can see, this is actually very easy to steer, which is really great. You don't have to be perfectly lined up when you're setting up to load these. Now I've noticed with some Shipshys, that jump rail there can have a tendency to snag your wheel, so you always want to check on it as it's going up to make sure that everything's lining up nice and smooth. It's a good idea to go back and double check your ramps and make sure everything's still lined up, because remember, these are somebody's new toy and you do not want to damage them while you're loading before you even leave Indiana. So just like on the first jump rail when you're coming up from the ground, you do want to watch the jump rail and the wobble wheel as you're loading up onto the step deck, onto the upper deck of the trailer here. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and get our wobble wheel or our loading wheel out of the way there, and we will get this ball tower pinned onto the center rail. As you can see, it's got the two size balls. This one is the 2 5/16 for this trailer. And we'll go ahead and pin that into the center rail so we can lower the tongue of the travel trailer down onto it. So another driver came up to talk to me while I was finishing lowering the tongue onto the ball tower there. So I did cut that part out, but as you can see, we've got the tongue lowered down and now latched and pinned onto that ball tower. So we'll get our winch and our strap out of the way here. And I like to put the safety chains to my center rail just as like an added precaution, or really anywhere you can hook it on the trailer, because it never hurts to be too safe. And with that, we are off to Idaho. As you can see here, stop to take a little shot at the sign coming into the state on I-84. Next footage is going to be unloading at the dealer property. It's pretty much the same thing but in reverse, so here we go. Alright, one thing you'll see me doing here on unloading that you didn't see with the first one is I'm putting this pin in to hold my winch cable down, and what that's going to do is by channeling it through the center rail there, that's going to keep it off of the first camper while I'm unloading the second. You'd really hate to have driver damage because your winch cable was rubbing on the first camper while you're unloading the second at the dealership. So as you can see here, we've swapped out the dress polo for some high vis. We are at Copart in Boise, Idaho. We're going to pick up 2 vehicles here. Some people don't like Copart, but I love picking up there because they use these big old fork loaders to put the cars right on your trailer. You do have to watch the operators. I've had some really great ones, and I've had some others that just scratch the ever-living heck out of your trailer, though. Especially if you have that raised center rail like I do. Now you can't see me out of frame, but I am trying to guide him on there as perfectly straight as possible. And he just about had it here. You'll see he did set it down a little crooked, but we were able to get that fixed after he had it set down. He was able to readjust. Copart does not allow you on the trailer while they're loading you up like this, so you do have to give the loader operator some distance to work. Well, unfortunately the GoPro died while we were loading up, but we got our 2 on. Time to head to Wyoming, go get our 3rd, and start making our way home. So the night did not go how I wanted it to go, because well, as you can see, I got a light that's not working, and actually I have 2. They just pried this sucker out. And this is the downside to Shipshy trailers. Oh, we got a flicker for a second there. There's the wiring harnesses in there. Well, they're just junk. That thing's on there as tight as we can get her. And something in there is wonky with the lights. And now we're gonna have to take her to the shop. Good news is, at least it's not my trailer, so oh, hey, there we go. Oh, we just gotta hold her in just the right spot. So, yeah, and of course. So, all right, well, fuck it. I mean, we're parked up here for the night, so super quiet spot to park. But we'll see about getting that fixed in the morning. I kid you not, I just put it back in and it started working the second I turned the camera off and popped that thing back in. So, you know, hey, at least that's one less light that's out. So, yeah, they're probably gonna have to redo the whole wiring harness on that, but what are you gonna do? But it's nighttime. Time to get some sleep. Now, for those without a keen eye that didn't notice this in the breakdown picture earlier, yep, that's the hood up on my truck. They say when it rains it pours, and I guess really I just gotta be happy here that this issue manifested itself right here at a truck shop. Upon bringing the trailer in for its lights to be rewired, I noticed I had an air leak and it was coming from somewhere in the engine bay, and we narrowed it down to the firewall. Thankfully, the great people at the Boss Shop in Rawlins, Wyoming were able to get me patched up and back on the road. Unfortunately, it did cost me a day as they had to wait to get an overnighted part, a cracked fitting under the hood that was on one of the main reservoir lines, and you can't be rolling down the highway losing that much air. It's not good for your compressor to be running that hard to keep up with that big of an air leak. So we took the time, lost a day, but fixed it up right. So it is Monday, and it was a rush to get all 3 of those vehicles unloaded today, but we got them done. I did not have time to do much recording, so here's some dash cam footage going through Echo Canyon at the scale there at the port of entry, and let's kind of recap as to how everything went here. So left out on a Sunday, it is now Monday night as of time of recording this, and having all 3 of those vehicles off, up in Michigan, empty trailer. How did we do money-wise? Did we even make any money with the cost of the breakdown and everything? Let's go over it. Real briefly, it did cost $535 to have that trailer rewired so all 3 of the rear lights were working. However, that did not come out of my pocket. It did originally. I submit the receipt to my carrier, and they reimbursed me within 24 hours of the repair. So they actually reimbursed me the same day that I turned in the receipt. So I'm not counting that towards anything. Let's get into my numbers. So 2 trailers, 275 a mile, 1,820 miles. We went outbound for a whopping $5,005 even. That is our gross outbound number. Our reloads were not bad either. The 2 cars going to Chicago were $850 each, and the minivan was $1,200 that took us up to Detroit. That brings our gross to $7,905 for the 8 days worked. But did we actually make any money left over from that? Let's get the big one out of the way. Fuel cost this week was $1,498.55. And not to be outdone by the trailer, we did end up with an almost identical $500 bill to fix the air leak issue on my truck. That one did come out of my pocket. What I paid towards my IRP, my IFTA, my ELD, and my escrow with my carrier ended up tallying up to another $500 as well. Last but not least, my carrier does take 20% of whatever our backhaul rate is, so that ended up being about $580. So in total, deductions and expenses this week took us to $3,080. Still left us with a pretty nice profit on this run of about $4,800 for the 8 days. All in all, could have been a lot worse. I really appreciate all of you, especially those who have stuck it out to the end. To those that are new to this channel, there has been a whole bunch of you. Couldn't be happier to have y'all. Really, it is just fantastic to see things take off like this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, or you can shoot me an email. That's in my page there. I'd be happy to answer them. If you made it this far, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button for me if you did. Subscribe if you're not already so you don't miss out on upcoming things, and share this with anybody who wants to know more about RV transport, especially multi-haul. Because I'm your guy. I'm Connor. Stay safe out there and take care, y'all.